Ever wonder what a truly perfect society would actually look like? Well, you're not alone. About 2,400 years ago, a Greek philosopher named Plato tried to design one in his masterpiece, The Republic. Now, it's one of the most famous and, let's be honest, kind of intimidating books ever written. But today, we're going to tear it down, break it apart, and see what this ancient blueprint for a perfect world is all about. Let's get into it.
The whole thing, this massive thought experiment, it all kicks off with one simple-sounding question. What is justice? I mean, that's a question we're still wrestling with, right? And Plato's attempt to answer it isn't just about laws and what happens in a courtroom. Oh no, it's about the very fabric of the human soul and honestly, the structure of reality itself.
All right, so here's our roadmap. We're going to see how Plato even tries to find justice in the first place. Then we'll actually build his ideal state, piece by piece, and look at some of its pretty radical ideas. We'll find out who gets to rule this wild city. And finally, we'll ask, what was the whole point of this thing anyway? So, Plato starts with a really clever move. He says trying to see justice inside a single person's soul, it's like trying to read teeny tiny letters from super far away. It's just too hard to see. So he suggests, hey, let's look at something much bigger, where justice will be written in giant capital letters, an entire city. If we can design a perfectly just city, then we can look at it and see what a just person is supposed to look like.
And this right here is the core idea of the whole book. For Plato, you can't separate ethics from politics. They're two sides of the same coin. The way a good city is structured should perfectly mirror the way a good person's soul is structured. After all, a state is just a bunch of individuals, right? So to understand one, you've got to understand the other.
Okay, so how do we start building this thing? First order of business, we need to create a very special class of people to protect it. We're not talking about shopkeepers or farmers here. We're talking about a group he calls the guardians. These are the folks who are going to be the absolute backbone of our new city.
Plato pretty much describes the guardians as the city's watchdogs, protecting the flock of regular citizens. Their entire lives, I mean everything, is dedicated to keeping the city safe and on track. They're basically professional soldiers and rulers, all rolled into one, trained to be fierce against enemies but gentle with their own people.
And this is where it starts to get intense. To make sure they're not corrupt, Plato just strips them of all personal wealth. They own nothing. No house, no land, no money in the bank. They all live and eat together, kind of like in a barracks. Why? Well, Plato figured if they owned property, they'd start acting like landlords instead of guardians, and they'd end up fighting with the very people they're supposed to protect. Their real treasure is supposed to be the divine gold of virtue they have in their souls.
It's not just their wallets that are controlled, it's their minds too. Plato basically calls for major censorship. Any stories that make gods or heroes seem, whiny or scared or weak, banned. Scary stories about a terrifying underworld? Nope, gone. His logic? A soldier can't be brave if they're afraid of dying. So all that epic poetry from Homer with Achilles crying or ghosts wandering around? Yeah, that's gotta go.
So if you thought having no property and censoring epic poems was a little extreme, you might want to buckle up. Plato's just getting started. The next things he proposes are so out there, he calls them waves of controversy that could totally sink his whole argument.
And this might be the most shocking idea in the entire book. Plato says that for the guardian class, we have to completely abolish the family. Wives and children are held in common. No parent will ever know their biological child, and no kid will know their real parents. The goal, believe it or not, is to make the guardians one giant unified family where everyone is a brother or sister, a mother or father to everyone else. It's all about creating total loyalty to the city over any individual family ties.
And the wild part is, Plato knew just how crazy this sounded. He actually has his friend in the dialogue, Glaucon, say this. Glaucon is basically like, whoa, hold on, Socrates. This is a way bigger deal than that other stuff, and I'm not even sure it's possible, let alone a good idea. It's a great little moment that shows you just how out there these ideas were, even back then.
Okay, so how in the world do you convince people to accept all of this? Well, the rulers get a special tool. It's called the medicinal lie, or sometimes the noble lie. The idea is that normal citizens always have to tell the truth to the rulers, but the rulers are allowed to lie to the citizens. If it's for the good of the city, like a doctor giving you medicine you don't like. It's a pretty dangerous idea, and it's easily one of the most argued over parts of the whole book.
So all of this, the censorship, the communal families, the state-sanctioned lies, it all builds up to one massive question. Who on earth could possibly be qualified to run a city like this? Who do you trust with that much power?
Well, it can't be the rich people, because they just want more money.
And it can't be the popular generals because they just want glory. Plato's answer to this question is the absolute climax of his argument. It's the one big idea that the Republic is most famous for.
The rulers must be philosophers. Now, he doesn't mean a professor in a tweed jacket. He means philosopher in the original Greek sense, a lover of wisdom. He says that only people who love truth and knowledge more than anything else, more than money, more than power, more than fame, only they can be trusted to rule. Because only they can see what is truly good for everyone.
And you don't just, get a degree in Philosopher-Kingology. Plato maps out this absolutely grueling 50-year-long training program. It starts with the brightest kids. At age 20, they go into a decade of hard physical and mental training. At 30, the best of the best get 5 more years of intense philosophical debate. Then, for 15 years, they're thrown back into the real world to lead armies and get life experience. And only then, at age 50, if they've made it through all that and proven their worth, then they're finally ready to rule.
So, after all this crazy, detailed city building, was Plato actually serious? Did he really think someone should go out and try to build this place? The answer is no, not really. And understanding that is the key to the whole book. See, Plato wasn't some naive dreamer. He looked at the real governments all around him, and he saw them all as flawed, just driven by power grabs and greed. His ideal city wasn't supposed to be like them. It was based purely on reason, with the goal of achieving pure justice. Think of it less as a blueprint and more as a measuring stick to see how all the real-world cities fall short.
So this is the big takeaway. The Republic is a thought experiment. Plato calls it a pattern in the heavens. It's not a city we're supposed to build on Earth. It's an ideal we're supposed to look up to. The idea is that by thinking about a perfect city, we can get a better idea of how to bring a little more justice into our own imperfect lives and our own imperfect societies. And it's also important to remember that this isn't some simple, easy-to-swallow instruction manual. Even experts who study it call the book an imperfect whole, full of struggling elements of thought. It's complicated, it's challenging, and sometimes it even contradicts itself. And that's okay. It's an exploration, not a declaration.
Which brings us right back to that huge idea from the beginning. The state is the soul writ large. So we have to end with a question Plato kind of leaves for us. If our society is just a giant reflection of all of our individual souls put together, what does our society today, with all its good, its bad, its order, and its chaos, what does it say about us?